Right, so this should now be recording.
Hold on. All right, so you're recording. Do you want me to record as well?
Nah, let's give mine a go, and then if it flops, it flops. We tried. So I'm just going to go through the agenda, which I'm going to put on the side for you guys anyway. So this meeting is important because it's a reminder that the meetups, the meetings are actually not for externals, they're for us. And actually it was Mr. F that reminded me of that, because he was asked saying, well, so many different things are going on within the Causevest network, and I'm just focused, let's say, on my element, whether it's marketing or the platform or whatever, and I'm actually a bit ignorant of what else is going on in the update. So obviously the core of the Causevest network is the Causevest coin and the protocol and the blockchain, and so that's what we're going to go through a little bit here today. So in the agenda I put onto the side, which you'll be able to see on my screen if it's shared, I'm actually going to play the videos for you guys. It's just a reminder, because I think the videos are really good and we put a lot of effort in them, but they do show you kind of what Causevest is about. So a quick intro, reminder for you.
What is the Causevest network? The Causevest network is here to turn every blockchain-based interaction you have into support for a good cause. Transaction fees taken from people like you are currently worth more than $13 million per day.
It's not playing very well for me.
But who has control over these fees? And what are they used for?
I can't even hear it.
The sound isn't clear this time.
The sound's not going through. Well, if that's the case, can you guys... It's fine. I'm just going to summarize it pretty much. Essentially, I'll do the voiceover. I'll mute it. So essentially, can you still see the video though?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So in this one, essentially, this video looks at like the fact that the Causevest transaction fees, cryptocurrency transaction fees aren't used to support the network that it's based on. They primarily go to a key stakeholder. So for example, when it came to Bitcoin, it was the miners, and obviously in Ethereum it's kind of the same, but I know they're moving, yada yada yada. And all this video tries to do is the very basic intro of saying, okay, we want to use, if we have these transaction fees and we can use them for anything we want, let's use them to have a positive impact. That fundamentally is Causevest coin. And then it goes in to try and explain that we want to enable that distribution via people that have coins to vote. Now, and we describe this as participatory budgeting, which I think is quite a complex word or term. And actually, one of the things I kind of want to bring into this fact is that, and I'm going to be doing a post on this, I think is one of the things I don't think is, I'm so terrified whenever I go on YouTube as to what recommendations are going to pop onto my channel. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I watched? Why did I watch that? And I'm going to get punished now. So this is part 2, which I think is more relevant to Vlad and Mr. F, which I'm going to go through in a minute. But one of the things I want to kind of take into account is like that when you own Causevest coin, because it's a base layer protocol, and the way that what you're going to see when you go through the white paper is the way the network is built. It's literally like a fundamental ownership. It's not like a lot of our competitors where they have private owners, or they've got equity and the investors own the equity, and those are the No. If you got Causevest coin, you're the boss. Like literally, if you own Causevest coins, you control the network. And I think that it will take people a while to kind of figure that out, because most of our competitors, they've had to raise externally, and so those are their stakeholders, or they've, or vice versa. It's not necessarily the case, but they've backed stakers, for example, the initial say speculators, and they've gone into mining or particular stakeholder. But us, it's a bit different. So just going to go through that. This one I'm me as well, but I'll go through the video I'm talking. This is just a reminder. So this video looks really quickly at our plan, essentially, and it just talks about the fact that our plan was to build a platform, build up our ecosystem, and then eventually sell the tokens to people, and then eventually one day, if we worked super hard and raised a few million, we build Causevest coin. So this is us selling tokens with a limited number of XAV, people being able to use it, so the causes and charities. I'm going to pause it here quickly, because this at the moment is one of my challenges, and something that I have to work on, which is we've got charities, we've got causes, we've got donors, we've got stakeholders, people just using the coin for shit. Like how do we? Oh man, I swore already. Ben, can you edit the videos too? And also,
What happened?
nothing. I'm a bit of a potty mouth, pretty much. Essentially, what I'm saying here is kind of like one of the interesting things about the Causevest network is how funds are going to move around. So the next major meeting me and Ben have is on the ecosystem and the economy. And it was one, we back and forth on when this is going to happen. It looks like a couple, like maybe 4 weeks is my guess. Maybe a little bit longer, but in that we actually solidify how the money flows across the network. So just to conclude, for Laura wants to listen to this and Z as well. So at the moment, one of the unique things about Causevest Coin is, let's say we have a charity, right, and they want to receive, we want to donate to the charity. We're a bit more, it's not as simple as that. We give them XEV. So for example, if you can see my mouse and this guy was a charity, yeah, we're giving him XEV, whoop-de-doo. But how does he turn that XEV into fiat? Okay, he's going to have to go to a stakeholder, which might be a broker. And that broker is going to have to find some way to convert it. And then obviously there might be that this woman over here is actually the person that's controlling from our perspective. So Mr. F, if you're listening here, Mr. F, you're the one whose ears should be lighting up here, because this is actually how Causevest makes profit. So we take funds in, either from the network transaction fees or from donors. We give them to a charity, knowing the charity wants fiat. We then essentially convert that back into some sort of asset they want for a fee. Obviously, they can do this themselves for free. My guess is that they're going to want someone to do it for them. And internal and external operators can do this for them, obviously, by setting up their own markets. But we are more than likely going to get a mild monopoly or a large number of market share, because people should trust to use our brokers. Hope this makes sense. So if I just continue on with the video, it's not hugely important, but it's just something that I need to plan out very carefully at this stage. We then look about the ending of the video essentially talked about us creating Causevest Coin and using it to scale, because once we have that basic infrastructure, we could scale and access the rest of the market. Obviously, if you've been paying any attention to what's been going on in Causevest Coin and on our progress so far, things have kind of gone in reverse. We've actually had the Causevest Coin itself be faster when it comes to deployment than the actual than the actual platform, ironically. So one of the things that we're struggling with actually is kind of like, well, how are we going to, from a strategic point of view, how are we going to navigate our plan and our process? Because to be honest, the coin is the most important element of our network, because it's something anyone can just get involved with, join and speculate on. But the idea initially was obviously we were going to build a customer base based around the platform and the infrastructure and things like that. So I hope that gives you a quick reminder in terms of both the history of what Causevest Coin is about and where things came along in terms of our progress so far. So obviously we've got work that's been done on the platform, but this meeting is focused on the coins. I'm not going to really talk too much about the platform because we're going to go into the wallet, look at the functions, things like that. Before I do that though, we're going to be going through the white paper as we're going through the wallet. So I want to just quickly remind you, like you saw on YouTube, there was a video. In fact, it won't do justice unless I show you the video of the cows one more time, just in case you've forgotten, because this I think it's not appreciated that this video is real. All the white paper images is absolutely real. It's not a joke. So here are the Causevest cows, and what I tried to show here was that what you see in the white paper isn't fake, it's real. You know, I literally was in the middle of a field in Sweden when I wrote the white paper initially, which obviously I then presented to Ben and the team, and I'm sure some of you even remember the white paper. This white paper was originally drafted on paper, like it was literally just like scraps of my notebook, and obviously you can see I always like to show off on the front if I can get it to open properly. There's the guy and there's the cow. So it wasn't a joke, but that's real. So, you know, and it was trying to look at how do we connect a blockchain or technical ecosystem to the real world. And that was my focus. It was like, actually, I want to benefit and look after the environment, save the climate, look after the people I care about as well. Like, why don't we have technology that is intertwined into that? And that's what this sort of image was trying to capture and recreate. Right. So in terms of like the background, I think that kind of covers it. We're now going to go into wallet functions straight away. I think I'm going to kind of, as I've shown here, I'm going to bring up the wallet that's been done by the protocol team. I think we've got Harris here as well. So he's been doing a really good job dealing with me and my attitude and never being happy or satisfied about anything, but still sort of hanging in there and working with Ben to get things done. So we're really, really good. We're going to look through, and this one I think, I'm going to be, guys, can you be honest with me? Have many of you actually read the white paper? Okay, I know some of you had because I forced you to during your internships, but not many people have read the white paper. So my hope today as well is like to actually go through some of the things that were written on the white paper that you can actually now see in real life. So we're going to go through, let's just make sure I'm on the right. Yeah, we're actually going to go through some of the wallet functions. And as we do, we're going to go like pop onto the white paper and go through some of those pages. Before then, I'm just going to give Ben an opportunity to talk about some of the issues that happened with that happened in BTC and Ethereum. So elaborate on. So some of the issues, for example, in BTC was like some of the security issues and features that we wanted to see. And obviously the biggest one for me and Ben, well, at least for me, was the transaction fees. I obviously was lucky enough to be part of the cryptocurrency movement before there were transaction fees. So it's a big, it's difficult sometimes when I'm speaking to people to try and explain to them that there really weren't transaction fees back in the day. And obviously issues with Ethereum on storage. I mean, these issues we've highlighted, I think, in the white paper, but obviously they've come to fruition now in terms of the pricing of using a proof of work based network for storage and an agnostic blockchain. So Ben, do you mind giving a brief sort of introduction to the issues of Bitcoin, issues with Ethereum?
Sure. Can you hear me just fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were asking people if they've read the white paper, and honestly, I'm not sure I've read the white paper anymore, and I wrote the damn half the damn thing. So it's not too bad if you haven't read it yet. Everyone can read it again and wrap their minds around it and say, oh yeah, someone wrote this. I still have that quote there, yeah. Anyway, so you wanted me to talk about the Bitcoin and ETH, and it's interesting. So it's funny. There's this sort of meme where if you talk to any like Bitcoin maximalists or whatever, and they'll say, oh yeah, idea X was always, it was talked about in the Bitcoin talk forums in 2011 to 2013. Every idea in the cryptosphera space was talked there. And it's all been done before, and it's all been hashed out and everything. And I always find that it's like a funny argument, because I feel like Bitcoin hasn't done anything since, 2013. And it's been, 7 years now? And so, like, the biggest problem with Bitcoin is that it has a large faction in it where they mostly sit on their butt and think they've won. And it's funny because you can actually, like, one of the Bitcoin maximalists, I guess, I respect a little is Paul Stork. And he points this out to, like, in multiple blog posts, like, there's this air of sort of elitist, not needing to do anything, or innovate at all, and it's like they're having so much trouble doing simple stuff, like getting some basic segue, and like the basic like taproot upgrades they're trying to do, and so I guess sort of that's sort of like the fundamental problem. It's funny because Stork himself has pushed for proposals that I think would actually help Bitcoin a lot. And like if they were really interested in pushing forward and grabbing them and rolling with them, I think that they could actually be a threat to someone like us. But they're never going to do that. They've not done anything. They've spent the last over half decade sitting on their butt. And I mean, they're doing some work. They're like improving the cryptography a little bit, polishing up around the edges. But there's not been anything like all the sort of. It's never. Maybe everything was indeed thought up back in 2011 on the Bitcoin talk forums, but they've never done anything with it. So now it has to fall to us to actually, do things. So that's sort of, I think, my main fundamental problem with Bitcoin. Also, I think proof of work is bad, and I don't want to go into too much of a tirade on that because it's pretty technical.
So let's just hit a few key points with the BTC. Yeah. So some of the ideas that we looked at were obviously Vault. So you mentioned was the name Stork. Did you say that? Did I spell that correctly?
I'm notoriously poor at pronouncing things. Our link is
doesn't matter. But essentially, one of the elements that they proposed was Vaults, was dust transactions. That's kind of what I was hoping you kind of captured.
Well, okay. So Vaults was not proposed. Vaults was proposed by what was his name? The professor.
Don't matter. just go through those features and why we wanted to bring them in, and also the security features, right?
Well, this is the name I was talking about. You can check out his blog. Like I said, I don't actually agree with him on most of anything, but I do respect him because he's actually, coherent in his thought, even if I think he's wrong. Anyway, you were talking about.
So some of the features you wanted to add in, right? Were
right.
Vaults and security features.
The Vault system, and it's funny because Vault is actually something that I can rail on with Ethereum too. But basically, so back in 2016, what was his name?
It doesn't need to be TDL, Ben, because we've got a lot to cover. So just give a quick intro, and that's enough.
Yeah, it was Edmund Gunsier who came up with this Vault idea, and he originally came up for Bitcoin. And I thought it was like brilliant and a massive improvement to security. Basically, the fundamental idea of a vault is limited reversibility. You know how the regular banking system, you get your cash taken and someone steals your credit card. You can generally do limited reversibility there. So if someone steals your credit card and buys a bunch of shit over the internet, and you wait a year, then you're gonna lose that money. That part doesn't change, like compared to crypto. But if you take care of it like within a week, generally you get all your money back. And this sort of limited reversibility can be built, in fact, into a blockchain. And he laid out a plan to do it. And I thought it was brilliant. And then it was forgotten. And it's not been integrated to Bitcoin ever. It's not been integrated. It's not even really been integrated to Ethereum. You might be surprised there because can't do anything on Ethereum. Now let's shift over to Ethereum. So the fundamental sort of problem I have with Ethereum is it was in fact Sear who made this argument I heard. He phrased it this way. He said there's no good first class abstractions, which is to say in Ethereum you can do anything as a smart contract, but in Ethereum you have to do everything as a smart contract. Literally outside of smart contracts, the only thing you can do on Ethereum is ascend from address A to address B, and that's it. There's no multi-sig, there's no vaults, there's no anything. And you might think, okay, but certainly you can write a smart contract that does all this sort of stuff, and you can. And then but the thing is that you don't actually want an arbitrary program that acts as a multi-sig, because you see, there are lots and lots of ways to do an arbitrary program. And one of them is the proper multi-sig or a proper vault. And then there's a bazillion of them, which are almost a proper multi-sig and almost a proper vault, but have a 0.01 chance of exploding and killing everyone. So, and this is what happened.
All right, Ben, I'm just going to come in and conclude on some of your points there. Long story short, what Ben is essentially saying is that by building our own blockchain and having these functions written on the base layer, there's a lower risk of something going wrong. And when using ETH with sort of third-party devs and third-party software and applications, things can go wrong, and there's been a lot of errors that's happened.
It's not just can. I mean, this is what happened to Parity. And I don't know how many, if you look at the price of those coins now, how many billions have been lost. And it basically fractured the community off. And the guy who was, a major part of the community went and started his own chain because, he lost all his coins. So, I mean, that's literally a thing that happened. It's not even hypothetical.
Apologies, I didn't put enough seriousness on the point. Point is exactly. So I think we wanted to improve those security things. The reason I brought Ben in definitely to mention that is because I think a lot of what I talk about in Causevest Coin is the transaction fees and the putting money to good causes, but fundamentally, and I was hoping to sort of show that with today's meeting for you guys is we're competing with Bitcoin, we're competing with Ripple, we're competing with Ethereum. As Ben says, of all the coins that he wants to show the world we're way better than, Ripple is one of them. And I stand by that. So I mean, it's kind of like it's just something I wanted you guys to be aware of, especially if I noticed, for example, when I was speaking to some people, I think they thought we were still a token. It's like if you're in the team, you should really understand that we're not a token linked to a business. We're a cryptocurrency that has enterprises around it, essentially. So first and foremost, we are a competing cryptocurrency. Right, so I'm just going to go through basically the agenda. Thank you very much for that, Ben. If there's anything else you want to add, let me know. Otherwise, I'm all right to move on.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could get me going for an hour of me ranting about random stuff. But you're right. We have to focus and move through this meeting, so it's not just an hour-long me rant of me.
But these are core meetings, guys. If you've got questions, feel free to interrupt me and ask. Right? It's not. I'll give you opportunities to ask. These are core internal team meetings. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to hear me rant, you can always prompt me with a question.
And if I need him to shut up,
I mean, even after the meeting, if you just want to get my thoughts.
Get back to work. All right. I'm actually joking. On a serious note, it's one of the pleasures of the. I just took, before I move on, one of the most wonderful things I've had working on the Causevest project and network is learning so much, having those kind of conversations and the kind of arguments and debates that come that you can only have when you're building a cryptocurrency from scratch. And also, before I move on quickly, like you're going to meet so many people in your life that talk about doing things that never do it, that talk about wanting to have a positive impact, but never put the work together. I know when I speak to a lot of people, obviously it's you can't tell them about the project you're working on necessarily. But I do, I, as you guys are all aware, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So when it comes to payment, for example, if I say I'm going to pay, I pay. I like to think, I wouldn't call myself trustworthy, but I like to think I've got a level of integrity, which comes through this project as well. So without further ado, let's go through the wallet, if that's all right. So first, I got a question, the difference between the wallet alpha and the wallet beta. So we're going to go through the alpha functions now, and that's what you're going to see visible on the wallet, and then we'll discuss the beta stuff just afterwards. Okay. So this is the screen which has been modified against my will slightly. When you come on to the wallet, you have to enter your seed phrase, as mentioned. I requested for it to be printed, but this is one of the most important things. Essentially, is that you have your seed phrase, because if you lose it, and your wallet your computer dies, you need it to recover your wallet. So it's a really important element to have. I generally, you can enter it in. I think we've added a paste thing, but I think we probably will have to take it out, actually, Ben. I kind of will at least give it lots of warnings. So if you're still there, Harris, there needs to be lots of warnings that if you don't save this thing, you're pretty much screwed. Passwords, I usually scoot, but not today. I'll obviously put a password in. And then congratulations, you come to the wallet screen. So now, before we go through this, I'm actually going to bring up this white paper. In fact, let's check this out. Hopefully I did a good job here. So technical USPs, let's start with that, which is page 5. And this is important, guys, because if you haven't read the white paper, we can kind of remember when this was written, this was just an idea. We broke these up, and then we talk about technical USPs, transfer inbuilt security features we're going to go through, provide keys, like say bank account options. It's actually not what I want to show you, but fair enough. What I want to show you is I've seen the protocol part, which I'll go down later, is Ben actually writes about trying to show a better user interface, and I think I really made an effort to try and make this user interface more user friendly than you would get on a normal cryptocurrency wallet. So it kind of goes through the your send, receive, and one thing I highlighted in the intro video with this was that this screen you can see here in the left hand corner, that is a wallet. Like traditionally, that's a cryptocurrency wallet, like your Bitcoin wallet, your Ethereum wallet, the first alpha of it. This is pretty much just this left hand corner, this left hand square. You then have your send and receive, which we're going to go through, so I'm not going to waste too much time on the intro here. We've got your vote elements. So, for example, for Lucy, for Z, for people, Laura, for people that are working with causes, this box is really important. You know, being able to understand and master what's going on here with the votes, delegation, etc., etc. I'm going to kind of go through in a moment as well. So here you can obviously, this is where you find the causes to support. On the left bottom, this is where the money making is. Mr. F, I know that's one of your favorite things. I'm sure you'd be Catholic if not for the fact you're a Protestant. So anyway, serious. I'm sorry, I can't help dropping it. So here you get your traditional staking. So when we say proof of stake, you hear POS staking. This is staking, right? You get paid for having Causevest coin and running a node. That's a requirement. That for us counts as work, and that helps run the network. Really important for us. It's not to be confused with all these yield farms and things like that essentially will do staking on other people's coins and then give you fake tokens linked on someone else's blockchain and claim it to be yield, or they're lending out crypto and giving you a share of that and claiming it to be yield. It's very different. This is pure. This is like source yield, almost like it's core from our network. And then proofs, which we're going to go through and I touch on in the white paper a little bit. That's a proof of cause element. Now, one thing I want to kind of bring up in here for you guys, because this is the money making part. So if you guys are doing bounty work and working on the Causevest network, and you guys are all early adopters, so like it's important to know what you're going to be trying to encourage people to do. Like on the voting part, people that want to have a positive impact might be focused on the voting element, and they can generate proof of proofs, which gives them more XEV. For people that are just interested in trading, speculating, profit maximization, they probably want to buy it and they're going to focus on the staking part. So yeah, I'm going to go through this box. If you've got questions, you can ask me then. Transactions, and this screen is one of my favorite screens actually. At the moment, it shows the transactions you can do within the Causevest network, but it will actually show. My hope is to either have it so it shows all the different transactions as you scroll left and right. Probably instead of mixing them in one mess, you'd see transaction history, vaults, transaction history, votes, transaction history, all the different transaction histories. You could see it's got a see all button, which should let you see the different types, but you can see them, and you can kind of see when Ben was talking about the vaults earlier, we can start talking about reverting transactions here. Right, so we can skip this because we're going to go through it directly. Right, so this is what the wallet actually looks like, and let's bring the audience in. So let me ask Lucy, you there? Can you hear me? She might have gone now. Lucy, you still there? Oh, you can't speak. Okay, well, on this screen, what would you like me to open up first? I'm going to go, just give me something to pick on, or it can be a box or a side, anything. I'll put it back up for you. Votes. Okay, she wants to go on the vote screen. So we're going to start at the bottom left on votes over here. Can also go over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here first, and I'm going to come back to the dashboard. So with voting, essentially you submit a vote, and it gives you, it's a bit like it's like voting for an address or a wallet. You input it, you put the vote amount that you have in, and essentially you vote for them. So for example, here you'd have the cause address, the amount you want to vote. It might have a small fee. You confirm you want to vote for it, you submit it, and then damn, you're voted. Once that's done, it'll show you all. You can also remove your votes, because an interesting feature that Ben put in with voting and the protocol team put in with voting was we've got a light bulb voting system. So like when you vote, you continue voting. It's not like I voted once and that's the end of it. Like if you vote forever. So for example, here you can see on the page your history of votes. So you'd see you voted for something in South Sudan or something in Congo. It showed you when you last voted, and that refreshes. If you want to vote more, you can over here. That's the nominees. That's the wrong screen. Hassan. But if you want to vote more, you can. But if you want to revoke the votes, you can as well. Because this is causes, not nominees, right? So it's just the wrong screen, that's all. But if you then go on to all votes again, it shows you all the votes you've made. And here's nominees, which I won't go into just now. But essentially, you can nominate votes. You can become a nominee for people to vote for you. So Lucy, for example, if the interesting part with this would be that if you came on here, Oops, I didn't mean to remove my vaults. If you came to your history, let's say someone was using the Causevest extension. Remember, guys, this meeting I'm trying to bring in the other elements of Causevest and the relation to the Causevest coin and the Causevest wallet. So let's say you have the extension, Lucy. Someone might actually use the extension and vote, right? At the moment, that's it's separate from what happens on the coin because the coin isn't released yet. But in the future, we make it so that if you voted with the extension, it would actually connect to your wallet. And see if do they have a cause address, and if they've got a cause address, it would link in, and that's something I can actually show. In fact, I can show you here when you've got your managed connections. There's like a API element, and if you want that, you can expand into other Causevest applications. So, Mr. F, I think we've gone through your vote. Have you got any quick questions on votes, Lucy? So I'm going to check her questions in a minute. So here you can search for nominees. So let's say it said the disciples of Mr. F, for example. You could go onto Mr. F. It will show you the causes that he's supporting, that he votes for, and you can delegate your votes to him. And then you can delegate your voting power. So the more coins you have, the more voting power you have. So that's the correct scheme this time. So you could delegate your voting power for him. You could also revoke your voting power for this person and remove them. So if Mr. F upset me one week, voting for the wrong thing, voting for the mosque instead of the synagogue or whatever, and you can remove them all as well if you want to, and then view them again. So again, you can become a nominee. The point of this is you earn. If I remind you again, you earn proofs, you earn money, you earn income or blockchain income, either by having lots of money already and staking, or by going out, finding causes, becoming a nominee and voting. Good security there, but blocking us out. Right, any questions, Lulu? Not for now, but it's only given monthly recurring basis. They're refreshed. So the votes are all the time, but the payouts are refreshed. Once a month, we make a payout based on a monthly cycle, which matches all of our network. Mr. F, what would you like to look at next?
Touch on votes.
Say again?
Votes,
huh? Okay. So, I wonder if they've done this properly. Vault deposits, vault withdrawals, and transactions. Yeah, it's not too bad. So with vaults are interesting, and actually we're going to go to the white paper now. Just a quick reminder on vaults. What number did I put it at? It's just 26. So Ben's already given you a description as to kind of like, bloody hell, this thing's slow, isn't it? Ben's already given you a description as to, well, I'm just going to go through it while that's loading up. Ben's given a description as to where the concept of vaults came from and why we wanted them in. But actually, something happened recently that was interesting. A friend of mine, I'm not going to say who, but I think you'll know them very well, had a trading account which they used, and they trusted someone else to make use of that account. Now, if that had been on a vault system, when the money was sent and let's say used for something that they didn't want, they could have reverted the transaction. I, for example, have sent payments to an incorrect address using Bitcoin back in the day. Like if I could have done, I'd have used them in a vault transaction, because what could have happened is you could reverse that transaction. So if we look here on our vault system, you create a vault, you select the vault time. I think the default is about a week or a day. You create it, you get an address, and you can dismiss that. Then that's your vault address. You then have to, obviously, you'd have to put money into this vault, essentially. Once you put funds into that vault, which is your balance here, you can essentially, so I think here, you can deposit funds directly from that one. Bloody convenient. Good UI. And once that's done, you can obviously, it's done. It's separate from your normal account. It's only in the vault. It's a bit like having a Swiss bank account within your own wallet. So the reason I think this is interesting, guys, if you're still with us, is the concept of being your own bank, right, has been lost a little bit in the cryptocurrency space. But for us, I do think we truly are trying to bring it back. Like, you have your sort of public more open wallet, which is more traditional, and then you've got this additional layer of security that's easy to access, easy to use. So once I've created a vault, I send a transaction out. I want to withdraw it, so I pick the vault. I say the amount, I enter an address through the address book. Then I confirm that, and then it'll essentially do the withdrawal, and it'll have the withdrawal here. Now here you can obviously see the days until the time is released, and Ben actually already did a video, and that's the beauty of working. I'm not going to show the video obviously, but oh, I don't even know what I just opened there. Have mercy. Well, you know what? Okay, that's for the best. But I just want to show you again, if you guys ever want a reminder, you can always go to the Causevest network, and here you can look at, for example, Ben looks at the code on voting in this video, and in this video, Ben is writing up the back end of the protocol for vaults, and I made sure to get him to record this. I know he's got a lot of videos to do. We're obviously not going to go through this now, but you can actually look. The beauty of this is you guys can look at the backside development that's been going on. You're going to be able to see the front side of that here as well, and the middleware in regards to the command line interface when Ben shows you in a little bit. So you can revert transactions here. You can set the time amount. It's good if you've got mistakes. So you're doing, let's say you want to do an escrow, or you want to send someone money, but you don't want them necessarily to have hold of those funds immediately. You want to make sure it's a legitimate place, and the person receiving the funds will be aware that those funds are have a time release. So I hope that makes sense, Mr. F on vaults. Is that okay?
So you said So you set a time, and only after that time you can withdraw?
Yes.
Cool.
So sorry. Only after that time can you. No. You can send your coins, but you can revert them. It's like being like topcap and having your coin on a string. Topcap coin on a string. Topcap. Have you ever seen that? See this dude here?
Yeah.
It's like that. You it sounds really dodgy, but like you can give them obviously you're not going to do it like Topcat did and take your money back, but you can essentially, if you have the power to do that if you want. So you could put your you can literally, as it's showing there, you can send a transaction, and within a time period you can take it back. Anything that happens sort of after that time period, they get to keep it. So they'll be aware of this essentially. So it might be that you require them to do something, and if they didn't do it the way you want to, you're going to withdraw it. But you are in control. If you make a mistake, it's worthwhile. Also, if you wanted to pay for something that you wanted to make sure, I don't know, there's lots of reasons, but ultimately it gives you the ability to reverse transactions if you want to. And it's just giving you guys a choice. So right, I think since we've gone through that, there's only the causes left and income. So of the two of them, let's pick someone. Okay, nice to see you, by the way. Ashraf, would you like to see causes or income?
Causes is fine.
Okay, Ashraf has picked causes. So on the causes tab on the wallet, you essentially get the leaderboard, all the causes listed on the entire network, which should be an insane thing to load. As you can see, the wallet will keep locking itself. Hopefully we have a setting to change the timer for that. You've got my causes. You can create a cause, which is the first page here. So you might create a cause for you to create, pick a category and save that. And this is the first thing you notice. You need XCV to play this game. So if you want to create a cause, we do charge XCV to create it, and obviously that will be adjusted with the pricing of the network. But it's essentially to make sure people validate and make sure the cause actually is a real cause, or if they're not doing that, they have a punishment for kind of saying, oh, we have a transaction fee that comes in. You have a list of the causes you own. You can highlight favorites so you want to keep a look at if you're voting for them, and it gives you some promotions as well that kind of come up if people are trying to pop up new causes and things like that. So on your all causes list, you see the entire. You can see on the left here. So Vlad, Mr. F, Lucy, you should be familiar. This is a leaderboard, so it's showing you where their rank is on the leaderboard for these particular causes. So you can see this one in theory would be the top cause here. If I actually go to click on the cause. to vote for it, it lets me essentially do a vote transaction directly for the cause as well. So let's just close that. Hopefully it'll let me close. Nope. On the leaderboard, obviously you should be able to actually load up. Let's see if there's one I can load. Yeah, okay. So you should also be able to look at a cause as well. So it's a bit, so you can see the links between the platform here and the wallet, but they're also separate. So for here, for example, you get your cause address, which is what you donate to, but the platform, if it's connected to the API on the wallet, if you connect your wallet to the platform, it should essentially pull the cause address or some sort of information for you to be able to easily work out that that's a valid cause on the network as well, and check the validity of it on the platform too, so which is quite useful. Essentially, again, a bit like I described the broking, in that case, the platform, we get paid for that. So for example, if someone's coming in and validating the cause, which we got put on our platform, we're proving that it's real because we've got the audit data. Anyone can do that though in the future, so that will give us proof of cause rewards. So in regards to, and you could build your own platform and do the same thing. So again, you can donate, which is just a transaction to them. You can vote for them again. You can save them with your favorites, I showed you earlier. Here it shows you some of the analytics. And that's pretty much it. Like it shows you. So the other things, when you're creating a cause, you can obviously set your target XCV. You don't have to, but the idea here is if you set a target XCV, if any more goes, it's recycled to other causes, and we'll look at that in the fund flows. Right, you've got the address book. So next, I'm just going to look at, that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to look at income and analytics, guys, and then I think this loaded. That looks at the platform. Voting for human proof of work, I've kind of described just a minute ago. Stage of decentralization, I will bring that up so you guys are aware of our open source / when we're going to have a closed source. So yeah, I think that's not too bad. Let's continue on with this one then. I'm just going to look at the income element now. So with the income element, as you can see, you can obviously see the amount you staked, and you can obviously go on and stake your XCV. You can kind of it should highlight here if you have more than 100,000 XCV, you get additional rewards, and it shows you how much you earn. A bit like interest in a bank account, to be blunt. This was something Ben brought up, which was about segmenting the individual blocks for staking, I believe, which I'm sure you can go through another time. Proofs, we've got proof of cause, and again, it's the same thing. Like at the moment, the basic aspect of proof, and this is where you guys are going to come in a heavy way. So the basic of Causevest coin is there's essentially a sort of like, let's say like 10 commandments. And if you follow any of those instructions or any of those rules, you get rewarded with Causevest coins, and so or with proofs, which give you a chance of earning Causevest coins. So here you can see this person earned 1,534 proofs, and then based on that, they generated 10 new Causevest coins over the period of their month or their 10 days. And a bit like you mentioned earlier, Lisi, that refreshes. So as you can see, this wallet's got lots and lots of functions and lots of things you can do. But the reason proofs are useful, guys, just because, especially Mr. F, you might even remember we had this conversation almost 2 years ago. What happens if people try and join a network but have no money? They've got no XCV, they've got no fiat. They're unfortunately not financially wealthy enough to just buy from an exchange, etc., etc. This is a way for them to get involved with the network and earn XCV. So for us, it's that you can generate a blockchain-based income by doing things instead of just by having lots of cash in the bank. So for us, it's a really important way of making the network inclusive. And yeah, like I said, we spoke about it, but inshallah, we're making it reality. Right, so let's go on to the analytics last bit, and this is just giving examples of the different analytical information that you could see on the network. And again, we need some ideas for the different things that we can add here. I think we've got a list of some of them, but the main thing is we want to see the network impact here. We want to see actually what benefits have we had on the world when you come onto this into this page. So that's it in terms of I've showed you the settings and notifications. That's it in terms of the basic elements. I know it seems complex, but it's actually pretty simple. I want to remind you of that, because ultimately, if you don't, even if you don't care about staking, you don't care about the network, you don't care about voting, you can send and receive Causevest coins. Yeah, you can create an address, send and receive, and so it's doing its job as it was meant to. So yeah, that's kind of a basic introduction to the functionality of the coin and the links between the platform, the extension. Obviously, eventually we want to build an exchange, so we'll see kind of what that looks like and whether or not we can go through with that. But the last thing to conclude in regards to connectivity on that is that everything that's built into the network, can be built, our blockchain can be built upon. So when you hear about NFTs, when you hear about smart contracts, like because we have this base layer protocol, you can build on top of our network and actually create additional infrastructure. And I think we kind of cover full access for causes, protocol, platform contracts on page 15. But moving around this thing is a bit, probably, let's see, hopefully it'll move me quick. I'm not going to talk about the platform here. So here, for example, we talk about smart, on our white paper originally, we weren't sure what the scope was going to be in regards to smart contracts and things like that. But here we kind of reference smart contracts internally. So we're kind of a bit like what Ben was saying earlier, where we're making, if you can see on the platform here, if you, for example, were to create a cause on the platform and you're happy and you have a wallet, the platform is actually going to go to the node and create an address for you and create an account for you. I hope that makes sense. So you might have an account on the platform. It would also show up, just like we showed here on the causes. It would actually show, it will show up here as well. So they are linked if you want them to be. They don't have to be. They're both standalone, but they are linked if you want them to be. So that was an example of like a building on our blockchain internally, and we wanted to expand that to internally and expand that to other platforms to be able to do as well. So if you're using Patreon or Just Giving, you'll be able to earn XEV when you're making donations to the causes on Patreon or Just Giving. That also had wallet addresses with us too. Yeah. But obviously you can do that externally as well. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that quickly. So, and that's kind of when you come into the beta now. So things that live a little bit better live on the external infrastructure. Things like if you wanted to build NFTs or you wanted to build an exchange or data networks or links through our network or liquidity swaps through our network as well, you can do that as well. I hope does that make sense, guys, so far?
Yes, please.
Okay, Ben, if you're all right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and if you're ready, do you mind setting up and let me know when you're ready to load the wallet?
Yeah. I've gotten. That's one.
In the meantime, I'm just going to go through a quick deployment case study for you guys. So for people that have come from the marketing perspective or the community build, I'm going to give you an example of how we're spoiled in a way that we have lots of different ways that we can expand our network. That's very different to a lot of our competitors. So because we deal with charities and good causes, and while our scope of what we refer to as being good cause is quite large, we can actually pick quite a few different networks and ways to market. It's just the moment we haven't got a marketing team, and that's one of the things we're going to be looking at expanding on in the next month. So yeah, if we give you a case study of that right now. So let's say, for example, I have a influencer. In fact, hopefully I'm going to try and bring one up because this is actually live. I'm actually currently looking for influencers to work with.
So I'm ready if you want to switch to me, or do you want to finish what you're doing now?
I just finished what I'm doing.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, we've got the movie guy. Let's see the movie guy very quickly. By the way, it's just the movie guy. I'm obviously not going to show this video, but I'll give you an example. So this guy records movies. I actually watched this movie not too long ago, which was scary to watch. Scary to watch because so much of it has happened. Anyway, what will happen is we'll contact this guy, the critical drinker. We'll send him a message, which is usually, how much does it cost to advertise for you to promote our coin on your videos. He might say get lost, or he might say, hey, yeah, sure, it costs XYZ, and then I'm like, hey, but we're charitable in it. Now the difference between us and a competitor is this, so watch closely. When he's like, hey guys, support this coin, Causevest coin, let's you support good causes at the same time, he can also say, And when you buy and run a node, you can support and sustain this channel. And that is unique. That's very similar to a Patreon one, but on a blockchain. So he could literally be like, run the node, install the wallet, and he can give them his cause address, and they can literally support they can vote for his cause as they set up and run the address. And obviously, if they have XEV, especially if they probably have a promo code, they'll probably get some. It literally will go to support that guy instantly. So it's a very interesting way of adopting people into the network pretty seamlessly, to be totally honest. So I just wanted to explain that and give that as an example for anyone who's interested in marketing, community based. That's like, when you're thinking of ideas, keep in mind that we literally can benefit a lot of our promo and marketing partners as well. So yeah, Ben is going to show you the actual wallet now. So yeah, whenever you're ready to share your screen.
Yeah. All right. So, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't open it up though, man. You always do that. I like to see him click the button to actually the executable for it, and then that open.
Well, I'm not using the executable for this. So I'm not sure it's working quite properly.
Okay, no stress.
We can have this. Anyway, so you can click get started. You can enter your password. And if you do it wrong, it does properly kick you back. Enter it right. You get your seed phrase. You can print this and look at it. And you can copy it by hand. You can also just hit paste seed words and put them all there. Like you said, we probably want a warning there at some point. All right. I didn't do it right.
Okay, all right.
All right, so this is the main screen. It doesn't look quite the same, but you can see things are pretty much all there.
Oh, man, I did mistakes.
Most of this is just not clickable, but it's where it's supposed to be. Now, I'm going to let's create a new address. I'm actually going to send this some coins and have it send some coins to show you what it can do. Yes, it does work. I tested it just 10, 20 minutes ago. But unfortunately, I have to use the command line interface to actually send the coins. Hold on. And this is another account that's not a GUI. Let's send it. How many coins do you want it to send?
1,000.
Okay, send it 1,000 coins to this address. Let's say
because Mr. F only works in big numbers.
So we send it. Come on, send. There we go. I have to stake a block.
I guess this won't show up on the GUI. It will only show up on the CLI.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, right now the GUI is just sitting here. I am sending it a transaction. Hold on. Now I need to. All right. Yeah. Did it go through? I should have.
Sorry, guys, what I was saying there is I was asking whether or not it will actually show on the display or it's just on the command line interface.
Yeah, no, it sits on the command line. Hold on.
That's fine. So a lot of people aren't aware that often when you're using a wallet, it's actually the command line interface that's interacting with the GUI. No, it shows up on the GUI.
Yeah, the coins will show up on the GUI. I had to send them from this CLI wallet. So now you got the 1,000 coins here. In fact, you can actually use this here. I can send it back to this wallet. So let's
printing money life.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I can send. Let's send it to actually, sure. Why not send it to this vault address because it's bigger. See if it works. All right.
Send it to my address.
How much? Hey, Mr. F, how much you want to send? 100?
Send all 1,000. Vlad's hungry.
Send all 1,000, please.
Hold on. I think it's. Can you set the fee to be 0 here? I think you can. Okay, good. 1,000.
Hey, bro, we need a little fee. Causevest network needs to be fed. The team needs to be fed.
to make another block.
So the other interesting thing as Ben's doing this is like obviously we need people to run nodes. It's something I'm going to cover towards the last part of the meeting and lead into the bounty. Like it's right now Ben's kind of working with himself. You know, he's got one wallet, got another one. We need everyone. Everyone's part of the core team will have a node running so we can test how it actually works to move funds around a larger network.
And see, there we go. It's all sent. And if you see it shows up here. If you see it's now 1,000 in vaults.
Can barely see that, but we trust you.
Yeah.
Well done. Like I say, it's good to see, and it's good to see that all the hard work we put in has kind of come to life, or coming to life.
There's your 1,000 coins right there, and you see it's lost. It's not here anymore. There's also, I don't think the stake function is working right now, but there's the page for it at least. You can flick the little button; it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So like I said, if you compare kind of what we did on the Maribel on the previous, what I was displaying to this, you can sort of see it coming to life and working now, which is great as well. Anyways, guys, Ben is working with us. Oh yeah, Ben loves to work with himself a lot. No, Ben's obviously got a small dev team working with him and around him, and obviously a lot of the concepts and designs and stuff that I actually squeezed blood out of my stone mind to turn into reality. Because otherwise, these graphs look ugly, which they need to change to make me happy. But it's still a good start. Right, guys, especially if you think when I described, we'll focus on the top left-hand box, which is sending us in. Share. So that's what. So also for Mr. F and others were asking about what's coming first. This is on its way. So I'm quite keen to get the resources and energy behind this and push. But ultimately, the other benefit of it is that once it's operational, it's operational. Like, we just need people to maintain the network and look after the code, and it can rock and roll.
Sorry guys, Mr. M. Sorry. The question I always like to ask. So much work has gone into this, and this is really beautiful. Well done, guys. Highly impressive. Do we have like a timeline here?
I knew that was coming. That's not for this meeting, Abi. We'll discuss timelines. You can ask in the core group afterwards. Since this meeting is recorded, we'll cover that later. But
Awesome. Yeah.
We're looking for a pretty sharpish release of our alpha. Right. So, good question. Forgive me for shutting you down. Let's just cover what else is missing. So I'm just going to talk about collaborations and ideas. So we're going to go back to the white paper now. So Ben, you can stop sharing your screen. Here's Benny. Right. And I'm so looking forward to just working with you guys face to face. I think for me the biggest, I don't know how crazy and how big that pie is going to be, but when we're all together, it's going to be fun. Right. Anyway, let's just move away from this for now. I'm literally going through elements of what I'm going to cover now is, oh my God, this is so slow and annoying. We're going to go through the network flow and the fund pools, and then we're going to call it a day, okay, guys? Because that'll take us into an hour, which I think is enough for everybody. So if we go back to the white paper, we're going to look at this pretty image. All right, guys, you all seen this image before? It's a mess, I know, but try and pay attention. I'm going to walk you through it very, very quickly and remind you where you are in this image. So we have external. This is how money flows in the network. How Causevest makes its money essentially, and how that money is moving around. And when Ben in the beginning of this meeting said, "Oh, we're going to be looking at the economy stage later on," this is what we're talking about. It's a huge amount of movement and networks, operations. And I'm going to go on to the next page, just looks at the leaderboard element. So let's start at the top left, you can see external fund flows. So Lucy, for example, was looking at creating, helping us working with the creation of the Causevest Foundation. And part of that will obviously eventually get a team that looks at just getting donations in. Literally, here's a cause, we need donations, give us your money, please. Also, any enterprise profit. So you see here, for example, it's got like any enterprise profit. So anything that's not platform related but enterprise, we actually have a few enterprises that we operate, a buy it for me service and a brokerage service which operate as well, which again will expand to an exchange at some point and a gambling site. these things, again, if they generate income, we put them into the Causevest network by buying coins up. And internal fund flows as well. Those are network feeds, which we discussed earlier. XEV purchase from market. So, and I discussed that earlier. If you remember, I said, okay, when we make a donation XEV, we often have to buy that back to be able to donate. So that money comes into the network. If we're bringing crypto or fiat in, it's money coming into the network. And platform profits, and obviously user interaction. So if people are doing audits, let's move down a section. So you can see here on the left, you've got this sort of donations to the foundation. So you see that should make a lot of sense. And it's also got causes being recycled. So earlier I mentioned about causes having a target of fundraise. If they go over that, the money goes to the foundation. The foundation collects a lot of dough. So whoever's our internal operator will be the person sort of sitting on. They'll have a lot of responsibility. Let's put it that way. And part of the reason for that is we need to separate myself and Ben from the redistribution of Causevest capital, because they're two separate. It's that's purely charitable, so it can't be linked to myself and Ben and giving us too much of a temptation to utilize our power against the network or something like that. So we have sort of safeguards in place. Here you can kind of see these images aren't the best, but here you can kind of see user voting on the network and causes on the network, money going into the particular cause pot, money going to the categories there, an operator adding a new cause to the network. Remember I showed you on the wallet where someone went to the on here on the wallet, they went to the cause page and they created a cause, and when they created the cause, they had to pay a small fee. You can actually see that here, that person's adding a cause to the network and it's going into the list of money causes. You can see these guys releasing funds, and it's this concept of a constant flow and operating adding a cause network. That should be wrong, but this last element of vetting is going to be in the beta, where causes can test network. So this image needs to be improved, but ultimately it does capture like a lot of the things that we spoke about and we had ideas about. They're real. So this is the last page we're going to go through, and this is the last one. Pay attention if you're listening. So this is the reason I asked you to pay attention is we haven't yet decided completely how this is going to work, and that's what my note with Ben is going to be about. So we obviously have a certain amount of money that we have available for causes, and that's live every single month and every single period. I think this is the first month we're going to be able to actually audit that on I think we're going to use the Uniswap contract to actually redistribute XEV to a cause and then convert that into fiat and then take a fee and then give them their fiat essentially, and vice versa. So what you can see here is this sort of voting system. So you can see you've got a pot of capital, a pot of money on the network in XEV that's either backed by XEV or backed by fiat, it doesn't matter. And then you can vote. So you can see there's three causes here. One's received this music, I guess this is education, and this will be some sort of medical. One has received 300 votes, 1,500 votes, 2,300 votes. And what's important here, if you could remember one thing in regards to the economy and the fund flows and Leaderboard, because this links to the platform, links to the extension, links to the wallet, is the guys at the top, on the top here, get the most money from the network. The guys at the bottom get the least money from the network. And here's the important thing, they all get money from the network. So if you create a cause address, you can actually get additional funds. It's not just what's given to you by donations, you get additional funds that are kind of hoarded in a network transaction fees, and that is what we said we build, and that's what we've been building, and that's essentially the completion of Causevest Coin's initial alpha release. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'm going to open the floor for any, and then after that, I think we should be free to offer our software and our technology out to the world for free, and expand it out there. Anyways, guys, that's it from me for today. That was a meeting. I hope that this meeting helps you and gives you a better understanding of how the Causevest wallet works and how it's going to be released and how we're going to utilize it, how you guys are going to be able to use it. Again, if you've got any questions, let me know. But I'm going to end the recording now. Any closing comments, Ben?
No, I think that was pretty good. I think everything went nicely, and I think things are moving along. So, positive note.
Sweet, guys. Thanks again.